The kind of crime we have is not just a social problem. It is a huge social problem that keeps the society on edge, prevents the society from adopting the kind of rhythm that productive and efficient societies have. But it is also a major economic problem. The World Bank did an estimate some time ago and concluded that if we didn't have the level of crime we had, if our crime was comparable to developed countries, that alone would yield 4.7% in GDP growth. Which basically means that when you do scrape through with a 1% or a 2% GDP growth, if we didn't have that crime problem, add 4.7% to that, and it will tell you what we could be achieving. The security forces have launched an all-out offensive. It has started in West Kingston, but it is not going to be confined to West Kingston. The problem of embedded criminal gangs is not confined to West Kingston. It's a program, it's a campaign that is going to have to go wherever the intelligence leads the security forces, wherever we have organized criminal gangs that are determined to prevent this country from ever achieving what it can achieve. It poses challenges, don't get me wrong. It is perhaps the hardest political pill that I have ever had to swallow. But I've done so it down. And it must now work its way through. We are proceeding with a number of initiatives all at the same time. I'm hoping to get passage in Parliament next week of the 6 anti-crime bills. We are going to make some adjustments. We're going to make some modifications to what we have there. We are not hard of hearing, we listen. But let me make it clear, we're not going to be able to satisfy all interests. We're not going to be able to satisfy all the many voices who have expressed concern. There is an inescapable friction between tackling the kind of endemic crime that we have and what we speak in idealistic terms about our human rights. There is a balance that has to be struck, but that balance is not determined by geometry. That balance is not a matter of just drawing a line right down the middle. Different countries since 9/11 have had to respond to the threat to the security of their state in different ways. I've seen the United States, I've seen the United Kingdom, I've seen Canada pass laws which prior to 9/11 would have been unthinkable. But faced with this extraordinary threat to the security of the state, they have had to design appropriate responses. And they have recognized, some of them, that these responses are extraordinary. I know, for example, that Canada, in passing some of the legislation which has really cut to the bone of some of the principles on which I know the Canadian Constitution is founded. But recognizing that they were now going where they had not gone before, they enacted that legislation, but they said this legislation will be enforced for 3 years. And at the end of the 3 years, it will be reviewed to determine whether we need to continue it. We have done likewise. 2 of the bills that do go where we have never gone before, we have said that the bill will, that law, once it comes into force, will exist for 1 year, and at the end of 1 year, it will automatically repeal itself unless Parliament, by resolution, takes a decision to extend it beyond that. So that we have We have taken all that caution. But I acknowledge that we're not going to satisfy everybody. But one thing is clear.